Hi everyone, and welcome back to ChompCast.
As always, I'm Jordan Rico.
I'm Grace Peters.
I'm Adam Krasnow.
And I'm Rafe Khan.
Our guest today, Natalie Boe, is a strategic public relations and communications advisor whose career path showcases the power of adaptability and storytelling. A proud UF College of Journalism and Communications alumni from the class of 2004, Natalie made her mark on campus as part of the first all-female Florida Blue Key executive team. After graduation, she went on to craft a diverse PR career spanning brand campaigns, foundation work, and even high-profile projects with the NFL. Today, Natalie continues to help organizations shape their voices and navigate an ever-changing media landscape. Natalie, welcome to ChompCast.
So thank you so much, Natalie, for being here today.
Thank you, and congratulations on the podcast. This is
you.
quite the production.
Well, we appreciate it. We're actually off location today. We're here in the beautiful swamp, and so just thank you for joining us again.
You are a great example of making the most of your time here at UF. Can you tell us about some of your involvements and some of those memories that really stick with you to this day?
Being a part of the University of Florida campus was incredibly overwhelming at first, and I kind of found my community through Greek life, and I had a few friends from high school, but I really wanted to get involved on campus. And like anything you do, I think the more you put in is what you get out. And so I found the opportunity through some leadership organizations with Gator to be a director and volunteer there, which was truly incredible behind the scenes that the students put on such a huge production with elite names like Leonard Skinner and comedians that from all over. It's really an incredible effort. And so for me, it was about making a community in any area that I could, and listening to what I naturally was interested in, I think is really important, because then it doesn't feel like work.
That's incredible. I know I've learned so much in all of my involvements over the past few years. I feel like I've really developed as a leader and a person in general. So with that, how do you think that your experiences here at UF helped you get all the amazing positions and titles that you have now in your professional career ultimately?
I think the Gator Nation is really powerful and strong and has the ability to lead you where you want it to go in terms of networking. And being a student, you meet so many incredible alum along the way, whether it's at Gator or tailgating at a game. It's really endless. I worked at the Swamp restaurant, so I learned a lot of fun skills. It was the old professor's house at the time. And you would meet everyone. Everyone came to the Swamp. That was kind of like the place to go. So I think just leveraging those connections, and obviously the foundation here was invaluable, and public relations was is in the College of Journalism, and was truly the foundation of what I was naturally hardwired and interested in doing. So more of like the reading and writing side of things, and learning through my classes about fundraising and nonprofits as well as journalism was really kind of a combination of the UF experience for me.
I love that. That's incredible.
For sure. And I feel like public relations, it's such kind of a umbrella term for so many things. Like you were saying, sponsorship, fundraising, there's really not a linear path to follow.
Exactly.
And you've had such a dynamic career in that way. How did you navigate this like fast moving career, and how are you able to kind of employ those different skills from each job and kind of move it through? Like I know that you're involved with foundation work, with the NFL. Kind of bring us through like what your career has looked like and how you've kind of pivoted and embraced that non-linear path.
So absolutely, it's not traditional linear paths that you take, I think, in any career. Really, when I graduated, I was determined to use my degree in public relations. I wanted to save the world through my profound education, and found this incredible woman through a friend of mine who was working for a lobbyist in Tallahassee. I connected with this woman named Lisa Brock, who to this day is my mentor.
Amazing.
And she met me for coffee and said, let me get to know you and see where you might be a good fit in the community. I was living in Tampa.
Right.
And during that time, she ended up having a position open at her PR agency. And it was really the beginning of everything for me. It was an opportunity to use my degree. So reflecting back on AP Style and classes with Professor Foley, who was Pulitzer Prize winning reporter and amazing teacher, and being able to work with diverse clientele. So we did everything from international PR to nonprofits. She was at the time helping Warwick Dunn start his foundation, who was a Seminole. So I crossed enemy lines, they crossed enemy lines.
Love it.
And I really kind of found my passion there for some pro bono work that we were doing, and then ended up having the chance to work for his foundation as the executive director, helping single parents get their first home, and really building awareness through public relations, but learning a ton about board development and how nonprofits work. From there, I married a Gator, and so we were leaving Florida on an adventure to Chicago, and through connections with the NFL and contacts that I made throughout the journey, I ended up working for Israel Adonijah, who is a Bears player, and everyone thought, you know, he was maybe a Jewish organization. They didn't really know who Israel was, and he was doing incredible work in Nigeria, Canada, Chicago, to help underprivileged communities with social and emotional development. And so I interviewed with them and ended up getting the opportunity to run his foundation as well. And it was really through PR that we built the brand and increased our fundraising, and really shared the story and told the story about who he was, why he was doing what he was doing. And then I had to move again. And so I networked through my contacts and got a job at the University of Michigan, working at an agency there. So more on an account management side. So kind of a different aspect of public relations, managing clients throughout the University of Michigan. And we operated like an agency there, and really loved working in higher ed and really the power of public good that universities have in our world and the place that they serve. Just again, the combination of being able to writing that needed to be done, manage the personalities and the accounts, managing teams of developers, writers, you know, copy editors. It was a whole production. It was like a little agency. So yeah, it kind of led me eventually back to, we went to Columbus, Ohio. I ran a leadership nonprofit there and still worked in PR. So I did some freelance, including some work for the University of Florida. And then we moved to Florida 3 years ago, down in South Florida, and I've had the privilege of consulting with a variety of diverse clients in terms of software as a service, nonprofits, and working with a land development use client. So kind of a wide variety of clients. A diverse skill set, I think, when you look at the foundation of that the college offers you, from ethics and law to interviews, and I'm usually more behind the scenes, but I'm embracing this opportunity.
Well, we're happy that you have come from behind the scenes to in front of the camera to have this episode with us today.
Touching on all these different topics, public relations itself is such an umbrella term, as Jordan had said, and in such a broad field, whether it's strategic management, social media and views, targeting audiences, or even consulting. What do you think is your best piece of advice for people that want to get started? Like, how do you even go about that?
It is broad. I think, you know, figuring out your natural abilities and the way that you can maximize your skill within PR to really hone in on that. So whether it's writing and you're more behind the scenes, or it's community outreach, there's a lot of different ways that you can leverage the degree. I think it's also a lot about good manners and coming back to some basic fundamentals in terms of sending thank yous and follow-ups, and, you know, being able to kind of wrap all of those skills into one place goes a long way.
Very true.
I love that you touch on etiquettes. I feel like that's a big part of our job as well.
Yeah.
Even as students.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. So kind of a funny story. When I was in high school, I attended a leadership camp that was at Nova Southeastern. And one of the counselors was an admissions counselor for the University of Florida. And so I was applying to colleges, and applied to that other one a little further west. And I hadn't heard from Florida, and I really wanted to come to Florida. My best friends were coming here. I was falling in love with the Gators and really wanted to be here. And so I sent her an email and also a handwritten note and stayed in contact with her. And then when I came up here, she was one of the first people to congratulate me on coming to the University of Florida. So it was just something I was inclined to do as a student leader, and it went a long way.
That's amazing.
I think in the current state of PR, it's all about adapting and being able to keep up with social media, influencer culture, even AI. And so how do you think, not only have you grown as a person, but how has your role in PR changed with these new skills and these new technologies?
Absolutely. It's changing every day by the second. And I believe in lifelong learning. I have to stay on top of not only my industry news for my clients, so understanding what's happening in the world and in their world. So right now I'm working with a client in ticketing. I can tell you more about ticketing than I ever thought imaginable. But then I'm also attending, PRSA webinars. I'm doing Coursera and AI, just trying to kind of understand how to maximize as a small business owner, how to maximize my operations and gain efficiencies, but also how it works with public relations and keeping that human touch with everything that we do.
Exactly.
And making sure that that I'm still relevant in what's going on. Social media has changed the game 100%. So in a fast-paced news environment, as you all know, it's changed the way we talk, we edit, punctuation, don't get me started. It's completely been a game changer in good ways and bad, right? It's challenging.
Right.
And so, for a while I was more traditional media relations, but now everything is, you have to consider them all your audience.
Very
true. Kind of to your question before, Rafa, about knowing your audience, like you really have to understand who you're communicating with, how they receive information, and the best way to reach them. So it's definitely a fast-paced environment, and have to stay on top of it.
It's crazy how fast the world is changing all around us. I mean, I'm in a couple of classes for artificial intelligence, and we could have lectures on Mondays and Wednesdays, and by Wednesday they tell us to forget everything we learned on Monday. So you really do see it transitioning a lot. It's crazy.
It's crazy. When I was here, we had to learn HTML coding. Yes. Now I can go on, Square and build a website in 2 seconds. I don't have to know my HTML coding. It comes in handy when you're looking at some of the behind the scenes web stuff, but it's definitely important. And I just wanted to say too, in terms of, understanding what's happening around you. Mm-hmm. So I am monitoring news because I want to be able to respond quickly on behalf of a client, and also have the opportunity to engage in a thought leadership piece that's relevant to and timely to what's happening in news. I'll never forget, I was interviewing Mr. Edmondson, George Edmondson, Mr. Two Bits.
Amazing.
He was here when I was here, and I was on deadline for my reporting class, I'm sure, for Professor Foley, and all I could think about was, I have to get this interview in, and it was a random weeknight, and I called, and he's like, I'm so happy to hear from you, thank you for your interest. I'm pretty sure you're not watching the Gator basketball game right now. And I was oh my gosh, it's a Gator basketball game. Like, we were away, he wasn't there, but it was a simple thing that has stood with me to remind myself that it's not always about me or my deadline. It's about understanding my audience and what's happening in their world. So someone might not get back to you right away. There might be something else going on. So I think just having that empathy and also awareness of what's happening for whether it's a project or a client or whoever you're communicating with, is really important. And that was sadly 20 some years ago, but it stuck with me. And I was like, he was right. I should have known, as the #1 Gator fan, he is watching a Gator sporting event. Exactly. He's not at it participating, he's watching it.
Number one Gator fan.
Yes. Sure. Yeah, so it's a good life lesson there.
Well, on that topic of deadlines and getting things done, transitioning a little bit back to college, for all of our listeners, I think most of them are kind of in that college age demographic. We've all been involved in thousands of different things and juggle classes and friends and all these different things. So how did you go about time management? How do you continue to go about it? What advice, I guess, do you have for a college listener that is super ambitious and has all these goals and aspirations and wants to be successful at accomplishing all of them as well?
Yes. So time management is essential.
Certainly.
It is. I always did better, again, knowing how you operate best. I always did better when I had more on my plate. So when I was doing Gator Growl and I was working on Panhellenic Exec or working at the Swamp, I usually did well. I think, as a professional who's hired and worked with students coming out, seeing on their resume how they manage their time is really important. So you want a well-rounded individual who has the ability to take on multiple tasks at once. I had a leadership panel one time in Ohio, and one of the executives said, I always look for athletes because I know that they're able to meet deadlines, they're competitive, they're managing their time well.
Right.
And it's like any way that you can showcase that. We're not all going to be athletes or collegiate athletes or professional athletes, but being able to showcase your ability to time manage is really important.
I 100% agree. And I feel like, you talked a little bit earlier about playing to your skills and having a career that doesn't feel like work. If there are people that are interested in public relations, but they don't feel like they're that natural communicator, maybe it doesn't come as naturally to them. I mean, we're on a podcast, so obviously we all love to communicate, but for our listeners that are maybe not that strong in that yet, what are your kind of suggestions to them on how to, reach success in this field, but also to kind of push themselves out of that limit?
So the beauty of it is there's a place for everyone. So
Yeah.
it might be, writing headlines for TV production or
Right.
doing something behind the scenes. I think, some people assume PR is naturally an extroverted position, and it's not. A lot of
Right.
times I've come across many practitioners who are quite introverted and who would really prefer behind the scenes and a different role. I think there's diversity in figuring that out within PR. Finding your natural abilities and just practicing those as much as you can. So if I'm media training a client, I'm going to tell them to set up their camera in the bathroom and do breathing exercises and go over their speech or, go through their questions. Like, you have to practice just like an athlete does. You're practicing that skill set. So whether it's writing or designing or advertising, whatever it might be, I think really practicing your skill set and being able to hone it and work on the foundation is really important.
As we wrap up this episode, we're here with a PR practitioner right now. What is one piece of advice that has stuck with you throughout your entire career that has kind of laid the trajectory for the future and everything that you've accomplished so far?
So I kind of mentioned lifelong learning before, and I really do believe that that is critical. If you aren't interested in what's happening in the news, PR probably isn't for you. If that's your business, right? You need to know what's going on in each of your clients' industries and each of their verticals to know who your audience is and what you need to be communicating. I think really having that social and emotional intelligence and awareness for your teams, for your audiences is really important, and understanding what you need too. So we talk about time management. We need rest. We have to refuel ourselves and take care of ourselves mentally and physically to be able to do any of it, to think clearly, to, be able to take care of our family or our priorities, our schoolwork, whatever it might be. And so I think learning to kind of understand yourself in that capacity too.
Well, it's been so incredible to be able to speak with you today, and we just appreciate the time that you're taking. And then what's next for you career-wise?
Yeah, so the door's always open, right? You want to keep an open mind, an open heart. And I'm enjoying practicing public relations as an independent consultant. It's very different. So time management is definitely key. And hoping to continue to grow my business.
Thank you again.
Okay.